Hi there, everybody. My name's Laura Kellen May, and welcome to StreamHorseTV Stable Social Live, where we spark engaging conversations for all horse people, no matter what area of the equine world you're in. Before we get to our special guest tonight, Sarah Hickner, author and host of Live, Ride, Learn podcast, I'd like to share with you a little bit about Stable Social Live. Each week we gather together and get joined by special guests from all across the equine space, including riders, trainers, horse care experts, authors, artists, and notable horse world personalities. And we have a special segment about retired racehorses starting their new careers, their second careers. We'd like for you to get involved, so if you have any questions or comments, please put that in the question/comment area. We'd love to hear from you. Now, let's bring our guest on, Sarah Hickner. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's it going with you?
It's good.
Where are you coming in from?
I'm coming from my basement in Reston, Virginia. And I do have 2 small kids, and it's really who knows what's going to happen.
So we might have some guest appearances.
Possibly. Hopefully not, though. I try to threaten, but it doesn't always work.
Okay, I'm going to read a short bio of Sarah. Sarah was born and raised in Mississippi. She followed her dreams to gallop racehorses in Kentucky during college. And now she's settled down in Virginia, like she just said, with her husband, 2 kids, dog, and horse. She loves to write, podcast, and public speak. Thank you for coming and joining us this week.
Thank you so much for having me.
So each week we start with a warm-up. Now, I know you're a rider. What kind of things do you do in your warm-up?
Okay, so my warm-up is probably the most boring one you will ever hear. I walk my horse for 15 minutes, and I've just found it's very valuable for his joints to be able to walk and move, especially because he usually comes out of the stall. So for the first couple minutes, it's very lazy, ride him on the buckle, let him kind of just meander around. And then for the last few minutes of the walk, we do what I call a working walk, where we'll do lateral work and shoulder in and all those things.
So I'm just going to share my screen here, and I'm going to see if this is the horse that you do your... That's him. Now, how old is he?
That's Mr. T. He's, I guess, 16 now. I don't know. I sold him, and he was an off the track prospect that I had, a lovely hunter, and he now is a school horse at a riding school called Madeira. It's like a boarding school that has a really big horse program. And apparently he's one of the favorite horses, which I love because he was one of my favorites. He was so easy.
You know, I totally agree with you. I think people underestimate the power of the warm-up and also the power of how important it is to walk their horses. And I think if you do a proper warm-up and lots of walking, the horses, they perform better, right? And they also sounder for longer.
Yes, that's what I found. My horses had back issues for a while. And if I don't give him that time walking, he literally can't trot. Like he can't move out. And so that he taught me the hard way. And now doesn't matter how old the horse I am that I'm riding, he gets his 15-minute walk, or she.
Right. 15 minutes. That's what you start with.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. It's great to do that. Now, if anybody's watching here has a warm-up they'd like to share, we'd appreciate you putting it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Now, in the bio, you said you have a podcast. You call it Live, Ride, Learn. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So really, I am a storyteller at heart, although apparently all humans are storytellers. It's the best way that we communicate and how we can really connect. And so I wanted to start a podcast where it's story-based, but also where we can grow. And I think one of the most important things about stories is what we can learn from our experiences. And so the Live, Ride, Learn podcast is me telling stories from my past or present sometimes and the lesson that I'm learning so that the listeners can then learn it themselves and not have to learn it the hard way. And sometimes I have guests on as well, and they're doing the same thing. Probably my favorite guest so far has been my friend Veronica, who is a para dressage rider, and watching her journey has been incredible. And so she was on, like, I rode with her when she was in college and an able-bodied rider, and now she's picking the reins back up as MS has like really made, she moves in a scooter, right? And so she went from running and everything to getting around in a scooter. And so I love having her as a guest to just share her really raw and empowering story.
Yeah, that sounds like a great story too. Now we do have a comment already. I'm just going to read this comment here from Joel. Thank you so much, Joel, for your comment. Your story seemed a little personal, kind of like I lived part of the stories myself.
So this is my brother.
Oh.
I didn't even know he knew I was going to be on here. So he is in some of the stories that I tell. It's true.
So that's why they're a little personal, right?
Yeah. Kind of like he lived them himself, because he did.
Because he's in there. Yeah. Thanks for that, Joel. We appreciate it. Are you having a giveaway of something? What's your giveaway? You're giving away for short stories?
Yeah. So I have a short story. If you get on my website and join my email list, which I will be honest, I don't have time to email very often, so I don't fill your inbox up. I mostly just give you reminders when I put out new podcast episodes. But you get this free short story called 3 Horses and a Wedding, and it is from real life when I was getting ready for my wedding, and we had planned to ride away on horseback, my husband and I, and we had a little accident leading up to the ceremony. So it's a really heartwarming story. And plus the picture is amazing. That was my bridal photo that I turned into a book cover.
Excellent. So where can they go to get these short stories, this short story?
Very good question. Just go to liveridellearn.com, which you can see my name. It says at Live Ride Learn. That's my website and also my Instagram. So just liveridellearn.com. And I think at the very top, it'll say subscribe for a free short story. And you just put in your email and it'll send you a free short story.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Now let's take a look at some of these pictures that we have here. And I'd like for you to share with us how important horses were for you to get out of your personal funk that you were in a few years back. First of all, tell us about this horse here.
Okay, this horse is Tippo. She was my very first off-the-track thoroughbred project. A guy from Mississippi breeds and raises thoroughbreds, and so he gave her to me to train. And then he gave her to me as a wedding. I was just supposed to sell her for him, and then she became a wedding gift. And she was supposed to be a polo pony, and I trained her to be a polo pony, and people offered me money, and I couldn't do it. She just she's a little girl's horse. She didn't need to be part of a string. And so I kept her, brought her to Virginia with me. And this was us doing an eventing camp. It was an adult riding camp, possibly the most fun of my adult life. And we learned to event together. This was us learning to do the water, going down the little bank. I'd never gone down banks until that week. We went down the bank and jumped out, and she was so fun. We had such a blast, as you can see how freaking adorable she is.
And we saw this guy already.
Yes, this is Mr. T. His show name was I Pitied a Fool, and he was a off-the-track thoroughbred project that I showed in the Hunters, and he just was a phenomenal hunter. I was pretty new to hunter jumpers when I had him, and we ribboned like every time we went out. He just had such a lovely rhythmic canter between the jumps, and as you can see, if you rode him straight, he had perfect, amazing knees, and he was just a doll and a lot of fun to ride. He got made fun of because I call him a bucket head, but he was a lovely horse.
This guy?
Yeah, that guy. Not the prettiest head for a show horse, but he was lovely.
Yes, he looks lovely. Now, back to the question that I asked you. Could you share with us how important horses were for you to get out of your personal struggles after having a baby?
Yeah, so having kids was a hard transition for me, as I am pretty sure it is for most women. For me, I'm very achievement oriented. I'm very independent. And so when I went from this achievement oriented, independent woman to a woman who was being bossed around all day long by a very demanding infant, and I was watching my friends go and achieve things. I have a Mary Kay business. They were earning cars in the Mary Kay business. They were doing all this stuff. And my horse friends were doing these amazing shows, and I just felt like I couldn't ride. I couldn't do anything I wanted, and I was trapped. And so I really struggled with that. And then you struggle with the guilt, right? Because a mother should really love those moments when you have a baby screaming at you and wanting to nurse, and so you have the guilt, and there's just so much layer upon layer of struggle there. And so I was in a really dark place, and I also was like, I'm not much of a feeler, and so I refused to feel the feelings. I just was like, we're just gonna get through this. But I was really struggling when I look back. And for me, I just felt like if I could get to a horse show, everything would be better, because I am really big, again, on achievement. And so I wanted to take my horse, Silas.
You wanted that ribbon, right? You wanted that ribbon that said everything is okay, and you're still okay. You're still good. You're still able to get on the horse and do that.
Exactly. I wanted to be like, I am still me. I am still a rider. I can still compete. Like, I haven't lost myself. And to me, getting to a show was me being able to like reclaim who I was. And so there was a show actually for off the track thoroughbreds only, and I got registered, and I was super excited. And I have this friend, Caitlin, and she's who my horse lives with. We do everything together. We go to our lessons together. We go to shows together. We do it all together. We had babies together, and she couldn't go to the show. And so here I am going to the show by myself. And I remember like loading up the trailer, and I'm driving the 2 hours to Lexington, Virginia.
Where was your baby?
I had like 3 different people keep him throughout the day, because it was like a Friday, Saturday show. So I was going to be staying overnight. My husband was at work. All my family's in Mississippi. So I had this army of people keeping my baby for me so I could show. And then I also had an army of people help get my horse ready. I remember Thursday night I had a Mary Kay event, which is my work, and so I couldn't miss it. And so Thursday night, when I should have been doing my show prep, I was doing work stuff, and there were girls at the barn. One friend I hadn't talked to in like a year, just because she'd been off at college. She rode my horse and pulled his mane for me. I mean, I just was like amazed. And so I'm driving to the show thinking, this is incredible. Like, it took so many people to get me here, but I'm still kind of sad and lonely. I get through the show. Our first few courses, my horse was blown away because we were in the stadium with like big orange seats and stuff. So we spent the first 2 courses looking at seats, basically. And then we did the Handy Hunter, which is my favorite competition because it shows how pretty your horse is, but also that you can ride and that your horse can behave. And we went into the Handy Hunter, and we nailed it, and we ribboned, and it was a huge class. And I remember walking out, and I was by myself, and it was like, instead of having someone greet me and take usually your friend will grab your horse for you, and they help you pull your boots off, because I always use pull-on boots. And instead, I pulled out my phone, I called my husband, and I called my friend, and I just remember crying. It makes me cry to tell the story again, because it was like in this moment that I realized, even though I'm by myself, I'm not the same woman I was before I had kids. I'm new. I'm different. I'm totally changed. And I was just so grateful for the army of people that it took to get me there, even though I was by myself. And so I always say, like, it was the moment I felt most like an Olympian, because like the Olympians always give credit.
They have this whole team of people behind them too, right?
They give credit to their grooms and all these people. And they're like, I didn't get here by myself. And I just remember thinking, I didn't get here by myself. It's it's just a little thoroughbred show, but it took an army to get me there. And I've never been one to depend on other people much. I try to do it all on my own. And so it was just a really humbling and special experience to have all these people come together for me.
Oh, Well, thank you for that very much. That was really great.
Yeah.
Great story. Thank you for sharing that. Now, let's just switch gears a little bit here. You just released a new book.
I did.
Congratulations.
It's right there.
Yeah,
Thank
so hold it up
you.
so we can see it.
Here we go. Stories from the Barn Aisle.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead and tell us about it.
Okay, so it's 5 short stories from my real life adventures and misadventures with horses. I grew up, my parents, when I was in junior high, were very kind, and they helped me have a horse. They paid board, and I helped pay for like the actual purchase, but we didn't have the money to do all the things, right? And go to all the big shows and all this stuff. But I wanted it all. I wanted everything that horses had to offer. And so I
Is
learned.
that your horsey there, Sarah?
Yes, this is Gideon, and he is in the book. He was my everything through high school and college, and he's in a couple of these stories. Let's see, he's on the. I had to stick him on the back. But yeah, that's Gideon. And so the book is just 5 short stories, and they're mostly funny. And it's looking back at, the first story is when I was like 10 years old, I think. And then the last one is when I was 19. And it's just me looking back as a 30-something and seeing these stories with a lot more grace for myself, and just really appreciating the experience that I had to be able to learn to ride, and the screw ups that I had and lessons that I learned from it.
Right. I think we all have those as well, like the lessons and the screw ups. Some of the times they're the same thing, right?
Right. It is. You learn the most when you mess up. So unfortunately.
So keep your chin up when you mess up, because there's a learning experience in there for you, right? So we do have a couple more comments that I want to flip on here. And this one is from the warm-up, Dustin. Thank you, Dustin. Walk around the arena is my favorite warm-up. Thank you, Dustin, for that.
I love that.
And Kitty Cat. Thank you, Kitty Cat. Mr. T is gorgeous. You two look great.
Thank you.
And Pierce the Heart Lessons. What a wonderful story, Sarah. Thank you for sharing. Yes, it is a wonderful lesson. Yeah. Story. I'm getting my words mixed. Yes. And okay, so let's moving on here. So what's your writing process?
Well, usually.
So I think what we talked about when I think of writing process, I think of somebody who's got the beginning, middle, end, and they got sticky notes, and they have a program, and they have a outline, and they have this, and this, and they have it, or they kind of go by the seat of their pants.
Yes. So in the writing world, they call that a plotter or a pantster.
Right.
I'm more of a pantster. For me, I will have a story start to brew inside of me, and it brews and it brews, and I think through it. And I think it's kind of the plotting, but it's all in my head. I'm not like an outliner. I've tried to outline. It doesn't do it for me. When I sit down, I wait until everyone's in bed, because I live in a small house and I have 2 kids. I don't have like this cute office where I can shut myself away. And so once everyone's in bed from like 10:30 to 1 a.m., I sit on the couch with my laptop and I write the story, and it goes through several phases. So I'll write out what was just brewing, and then I'll sleep on it, and I'll realize, oh, that's not right. Like, I need to come in and fix that. And usually it goes through, my first story and Stories from the Barn Aisle went through over 20 drafts. It was a lot.
So a lot of people think when they write stories that people just sit down and then they have this beautiful epiphany and they write it and it's beautiful, and then they send it off and they make $1 million in royalties. That's not really what happens, right?
No,
it's a lot of work, and you hear people that the big thing that they say to do is just start writing, just write.
Right.
It might be 5 sentences today or 500 sentences, but just starting.
Yeah, I actually host a podcast called the Author Shenanigans podcast, and I have authors on and I ask them questions. And my last, 2 episodes ago, I had historical fiction royalty on my show, which was super cool. Kate Quinn and Stephanie Dre, and they have huge books, like top 20 on the Amazon, in the Amazon store level books. And so you think that they're like these magicians and they're just magical and gifted and all this. And so I asked them to tell me about their failures. And Kate Quinn said she has at least 11 books that will never see the light of day, like full-length novels. That's like a year of your
lifetime.
life.
Yeah.
That will never see, not just one, but 11. And it was just mind-boggling to think,
it takes a lot of time. Like you say, it's a full-time job, right?
Right. And Stephanie Dre's newest book, which has been really big, she spent 7 years writing. And she said even the foreword she rewrote 40 times.
Yeah.
Like, it was incredible. So,
yeah. So, so moving on from your book stuff, you're having a contest. Could you explain to us a little bit about your contest?
Yes, I just hosted the Stories from the Barn Aisle Youth Writing Contest. And it just was something, you know, I had released my book and I was thinking, how can I connect with young readers? Because really the ideal audience for this book is, it's like I was writing to myself when I was 12 years old and dreaming of a horse. And so how can I connect with 12-year-olds and 12 to 14 age? And I thought, you know what, I should do a writing contest. And so it would help me connect with possible readers, but also help encourage these kids to either create their own stories or rewrite their stories. So we had a fiction and a nonfiction category. And it just was a really cool way to encourage kids also to write. I wish I had been encouraged a little more as a kid. I don't know, I was more into drawing, I think, anyway.
So you have fiction and nonfiction, and are they all age groups or what age?
I did 2 age groups because I thought I have a 9-year-old, and it was like, to have a 9-year-old compete against a 16-year-old just seems really unfair. And so I did age group 9 to 11 years old and then 12 to 17. Because I just felt like those ages were, you know, once you hit 12, like people were really talented at that age. But I wanted to give the beginner writers their own little place to play. So yeah, so we had 4 divisions. The winners will take home my local Dover has provided a saddle pad and a gift certificate. And then the winners also will be published on StreamHorseTV. So if you enter the contest, be sure to subscribe to the everyone, be sure to subscribe to the StreamHorseTV emails, because next week they're going to be emailing out the winning stories. And then also everyone who wins gets a signed copy of Stories from the Barn Aisle.
Yay. Excellent. So how did you choose a winner? Did you do a random draw?
I did not do a random draw. I wanted it to be, you know, a real writing contest where the writing was judged, and it was a lot harder than I thought. I got these stories, and like these 11-year-olds were making me cry with their stories. They were so good, and just, they were making me feel, and so I realized, oh man, like someone's not going to win. And I felt
these are really good writers, right? They've got really good stories.
Yes. People put their hearts into it. And I loved seeing that. And so what I decided for the judging was to go for a story. Like, I wanted to choose stories that did what I think a story is meant to do. And for me, a story is meant to either transport you to another place in time so you can live it yourself. You can be the main character, or make you feel something for the main character and kind of change the way you think. And so I went with stories that did that made me feel something for the main character, or that transported me so that I could feel and live the experience myself. And then I also had extra judges, so it wasn't all on me, because I was like, I can't make the final decision by myself, and I had some help with that. But that was what I went with when I was reading the stories.
Okay, so where was the farthest away entry from?
California.
Wow.
So I'm in Virginia, so California is like pretty much as far as you can get and still be in the States.
Excellent. Yeah. So don't go anywhere because we're gonna make the announcement of the winners of this. Are you ready to make the announcement?
I'm ready if you are.
Okay. So what is the first category that you're going to announce?
All right. So the first category is fiction, ages 9 to 11.
Okay, fiction, ages 9 to 11.
The winner is Faith from Fairfax, Virginia, and her story was called Willow Meadows. Congratulations, Faith.
Excellent. So, Faith, thank you so much for entering that Willow Meadows. That sounds like a really lovely story. Can you give us a little hint of what it was about?
Well, they're all blurring together. We had two winners with story. Oh, I'm giving it away if I say this.
Okay. Don't give it away because it's going to
find out what they're about
next
week when the stories get released on
So Faith, son of Fairfax, and she was which age group again?
She was in the 9 to 11 age group.
9 to 11 nonfiction?
Oh, fiction. Fiction.
Excellent. Congratulations, Faith. If you're here listening or watching, please put something in the comments so that we know that you've seen this. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one.
All right, next we're going to do fiction 12 to 17.
Fiction 12 to 17.
The winner of the fiction 12 to 17 division is Grace from Haymarket, Virginia. And her story is called The Horse from Willow Green Farm. See how I got confused? Both of the fiction winners. I'm wondering if they ride at the same barn.
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting if it was about the same horse? Yes, that would be so cool if it was. That was really neat. You should get them together. Maybe they're sisters or something, or friends.
I'm wondering if they're friends. We'll find out.
Yes. Oh, excellent. Okay, so that's 2. We got 2 more winners to go. And Grace, if you are watching, we'd love to hear or see you in the comments that you've seen this. We'd love to hear from you as well. Okay, so that was the 9 to 11. Is that right?
That one was 12 to 17.
12 to 17. Okay, so that was the fiction one. So now we're going to do the nonfiction ones.
Nonfiction. So nonfiction for the 9 to 11 age group. The winner was...
Just a second.
Madeline from Glen Allen, Virginia. And her story was called Just Hold On. And it definitely made me cry, Madeline. It was so good. This was a tough division. There was another girl. There were a couple other stories that just were incredible.
Yes, I mean, I think if that were a prompt for me to write a story about, I think I know what I would write about with respect to Just Hold On.
Yeah.
And I hope it turned out. Pardon me?
I said, are you going to tell us what your story would be?
It would be about somebody getting run away with, and I could just hear the trainer saying, "Just hold on."
We've all had those moments too, right? We're like, oh my gosh, do I bail or do I hold on? All right.
We have a few comments before we make the last one. Yeah. Charlie Milne, thank you so much, Charlie. Appreciate it. Congratulations, she says. And Matthew says, I'm watching on my dad's account. So I wonder if
that's Madeline who just won. Congratulations, Madeline. I loved your story.
Thank you so much, Madeline, for taking the time to put a comment in too. Yay. Okay, final is the nonfiction for the 9 to 17 or 11 to 17.
12 to 17. You're close.
12 to 17.
Okay.
12 to 17.
So the winner for the nonfiction ages 12 to 17 is Hannah Hoffman from Wilton, California, with the story Charlie Brown. And I love the story about Charlie Brown. It was so good.
You probably loved all of the stories.
I did. That's why they won. I think I really connected with the Charlie Brown one because she was talking about the insecurity she felt riding a new horse. And I think we've all felt that, or at least I have. I'm pretty sure most people have felt that. And so I love how she shared that. And she talked about how her trainer told her to just be herself. So it was a great story. Thank you, Hannah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for doing that and sharing the results of your contest with us. And thank you for everybody who submitted their contest entries, and great reading all of the entries that you had. Sounds like they were lovely stories. And StreamHorse TV, thank you. All the writing contest entrants, we appreciate all of your stories. Congratulations to the winners. Yes, and if you'd like to see and read the stories, please visit StreamHorse TV, streamhorse.tv, and the stories will be there. Excellent. Thank you so much. Now that...
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Everyone who entered the contest, if you're watching, thank you so much. And I just want to encourage you to keep writing. I enjoyed every single story that I read. I sent them to my mom. So thank you. And I just want to encourage you, even if you didn't win, you did a great job. And I loved reading your stories.
And Kevin Hoffman says, thank you. I'm on my dad's account. And thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin. And
you're welcome. That's Hannah. Hannah. Yeah, congratulations,
Excellent.
Hannah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I really like that the Charlie Brown story, is that right? Is that right? Was it Charlie Brown?
Mm-hmm.
About being confident, because when we're going to be just going right into the retraining goals segment right now, where each month we spotlight retired racehorse in their second career. And this is sponsored by the Retired Racehorse Project. So we are getting ready to do that. And I would like to bring Caitlin on, and we're going to talk about, before we get to how Caitlin was doing with her horse, we're going to ask you the question. Okay, Caitlin, are you ready? Hi, Caitlin.
Hi.
We were going to visit you in the stable today, but something happened at your end, right?
I'm so sorry. So I just got back last night from Kentucky. And again, 2-day drive back. And then we had a crazy storm this morning around 5 a.m. And so when I went to my apartment at the barn, I had no power.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. Well, I'm glad that you're safe.
It's about 100 degrees here. So I had to come back to our place in Midtown and cool off before hopping on. But hopefully we will get Charles on soon.
Yes, that's right. So before we get to talking with both of you, we here at StreamHorse TV would like to see all your off-the-track thoroughbreds and retired racehorses of all breeds. So you can tag us on Instagram and Facebook with @StreamHorseTV and use the hashtag StreamHorseTV to be featured on the program. So we'd like to see and hear about all your retired racehorses, no matter the breed, maybe the standardbreds. And I know there's some people out there who also race Arabians and quarter horses. And so we'd like to see them as well. Now, Sarah, we talked a little bit with you about your familiarity with thoroughbreds. And we do have a picture of you on some of your thoroughbreds. We're just going to talk with Sarah about this. Oh, and here we're going to do this one here. This is you, one of your thoroughbreds?
That's Silas. That's the horse I have now. I've had him for 10 years.
Wow.
So he's my last off-the-track thoroughbred project. He was no longer a project. He's turning into old man.
And then there's this.
This is
on the track.
Right. This is not an off the track thoroughbred. This is an on the track thoroughbred. When I was galloping in college, well, as a kid, it had been my dream to gallop racehorses. And so when I was in college, I transferred to the University of Louisville so that I could gallop in the mornings before class. So this was
That's dedication, man, getting up, because they don't gallop at 10 a.m., do they?
No, I haven't woken up that early consistently since then. I would actually finish work and I would call my boyfriend, fiance, who's now my husband, and he was not even awake yet. I would wake him up leaving work.
To go to classes.
To go to class, right. I would be done with work by my 10 a.m. class. So.
Okay, so while I've got you both here, there's something that we get asked quite a bit, and it is who's going to get on the horse first? Who's going to sit on this horse that just arrived from the racetrack? I know that this past winter, I've had a couple of off-the-track thoroughbreds, and when they come off the trailer, they are been racing previous month, sometime the previous week, and I'm not getting on that thing. Like, what do you say, Caitlin? Who's getting on that thing first?
So I actually, we had a unique situation. Charles got off the trailer perfectly fine. He'd been raced about 2 months prior, and I would have hopped on, except they said to give him about a week to acclimate. And during that week, he lost a shoe twice. And so we ended up going barefoot for a bit, and he never really adjusted. So by the time we got him feeling better, we were at the point where we were like, okay, well, you know, he's perked up a little bit. He's comfortable. Let's have the assistant trainer hop on and see. But I had no issues really. I mean, he came off so quiet. He arrived, and I literally had no fear of him. So it depends on the horse, I think.
Right. Totally agree with you. And how about
you? He did not come off the trailer looking like an X-race horse. He looked like he had just kind of like sauntered out of a pasture, and you know, he's always been a chill guy. They said he ate a ton of hay on the ride over and drank water. And
and what about you, Sarah? You know, so who gets on your thoroughbreds first?
Well, I've usually, by the time I get my thoroughbreds, they've usually come from, you know, an in-between. I've never taken directly off the track, but since I rode them on the track, I'm not that concerned. I mean, I try to let them have some time in the field. I might lunge them first just to get the bucks out, but I mean, me, I guess, is who would do it. It's just not they're horses. They're trained. They've had more experiences than most show horse that I've ridden. They've been in a gate that explodes and bells ring. They've get groomed top to bottom. They've been around crowds of people yelling. They've been around. And so I think most of the anxiety that these horses have is because we're nervous because it's off the track thoroughbred. So
they gallop and run and they run away. They're going to run away and they don't steer and they can only go one way and they only go straight. Yeah.
So
I agree with you. Yeah.
Like, it's a horse and I can ride, so we're going to be fine.
I know too that, like you say, I like where you say that they have seen so much. And some of the things that you think that, oh my gosh, there's a car coming. There's a car. They've never seen a car before. Well, of course they have seen cars before. They've seen everything. They've seen everything. And they know about stuff. Yeah. What I like about working with them is that when they see the saddle and bridle coming, they know they're working. And you can almost see their mind say, okay, we're going to work. And once you get into the tag, it's work time.
See, that took us a while to get there with Charles.
Is that right?
Well, but he was only raced once. And I don't know his full training background, but I can imagine that he was only raced once because they saw that he was not going to be a racehorse.
He's got a case of the slows. My mom used to say he's got a case of the slows.
Yeah, so we had kind of like the opposite problem of there being a work ethic and a motivation there. He was, we would get him on the lunge line or get on this, get a saddle on, and he'd be like, "What do you want me to do?"
That's a little different for sure, because what I've seen is that they know that something's going to happen. Like
Right.
they know, okay, it's work time. We got to do something here. What is it you want me to do? And it's not stand by the mounting block, right?
Right.
It's one of the first things I think that you have to get them used to is to stand at the mounting block.
See, again, Charles, he's just. I worked with him doing showmanship when he arrived. And so I taught him to square up before I ever sat on him, just kind of a holdover from my Western days growing up. And so now he just squares up at the mounting block and
perfect.
Everything that people are like, this is like it, this is what it's like to work with a young off the track thoroughbred. Pretty much opposite.
No. Just change it 180 degrees and you got Charles. Yeah. How about you, Sarah?
You have to trust the folks. I think, that goes a long way too at New Vocations where he came from, because I knew what I was looking for and I told them, and I think they're very honest about how they match people up. And then of course, the support that I've had at my barn, my trainers, my assistant trainer, and the head trainer, they love working with young horses, thoroughbreds, warm bloods. So I have to give a lot of credit to them too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Sarah, what about you? You teach your horse to stand at the mounting block. Is that something that you required to do with your guys?
It was something I required for a long time. And then we went through a phase where he was cold backed when I got on, and he felt like he was going to rear up if I didn't let him walk. And so I started letting him walk, and now it's just what we do. It's like, I know it's the worst manners ever, but I can't get on if he stands. Like, I need his forward momentum to move me into the saddle
to help you. Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of a bad habit that I have.
I know what you're talking about with that. You kind of, when you put your foot in the stirrup, you kind of think, okay, I know he's going to be 2 feet ahead of where he's going, so I have to aim my butt over that way a little bit more.
But that's what they're used to. I mean, the horses have raced a lot because they're getting a leg up as they're walking.
Well, as they're walking, I mean, if they're walking, it's bonus points. I mean, they're usually not even walking; they're doing something more than a walk sometimes.
Yeah.
Right, jigging or
faster than a walk. So, So I'm going to go now to Sarah, to Caitlin. Like last week, Caitlin, we saw Charles doing this. He was cantering around like a star in the mud. Right? He was.
Yes, I think. This. And that was his first time showing at Split Rock. So he ended up showing about 5 or 6 times throughout the course of the 2 weeks, and this was the first time.
Yeah, he was slogging his way through the muddy courses.
Yes.
He was being a star in the sunshine, and he showed indoors as well, and taking everything in stride at the horse show. So what happened this week? Now, we were going to try and get Charles on this week, but unfortunately...
Yes, but he's a mess. He got back, at 7 p.m. last night, and one of the grooms showed me a picture today of him passed out, just completely passed out on his side. So he's happy to be home, and he was great. So I ended up showing 3 times. We had our best day probably last Thursday. I believe it was Thursday. And we did equitation, which is not my strong point at all.
Well, it looks like you did pretty well.
Yeah. We ended up getting 3rd in the under saddle. And I mean, we hit all of our leads, our sitting trot. I have to give a big shout out to the assistant trainer at Elite Sport Horse, because she has been working with us on our sitting trot for months, and it all showed up. The first under saddle, we did our first under saddle a few days before this, and I was a bit nervous, so we ended up we picked up the wrong lead the first time, but in the equitation last week, we got everything. So that was really exciting, because it was also the first day that my boyfriend was at the show. and he was filming, and he was able to see that happen. It was really nice.
And what is this picture here?
This was, I think that was last week, like last Tuesday, after he had shown with my trainer in the indoors. And yeah, he just looks so cute with his braids.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice braids. Yeah.
So yeah, he was a superstar, but we are very happy to be home now. And then he'll get a bit of a break. I don't love overworking horses in this Texas heat and humidity. And so the next show will probably be a local show in September. But we'll keep working, you know, every week. He'll keep being ridden by myself and my trainer, and hopefully we'll move up. Hopefully he'll be doing the 2-6 in the fall. So
nice.
And we'll celebrate our 1-year anniversary together in September.
Excellent. So what did you learn about Charles this past week while you were at the Kentucky show?
Oh my goodness.
That's a toughie.
That he was, well, I think it was that he was the horse that we always thought he was. We have definitely had some ups and downs. After our first show in May, he was amazing, but then he came back and we dealt with, I think, some behavioral issues also connected to ulcers. And again,
oh, you think he's got ulcers? You think he's?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's been on GastroGuard for about a month. He internalizes. So again, he is not the like jigging type of X-race horse,
right?
But we have pretty much figured out he internalizes nervousness. So he doesn't stress himself out that much, but enough to, and I happen to believe that most performance horses, due to the stresses and the traveling and I think it's just a good idea to be on stomach maintenance or omeprazole in general, especially during very stressful times.
Yeah, so he doesn't show the stress out by getting tense and jigging. He keeps it inside, and that's what's causing these ulcers.
Exactly. So what I learned about him was that he is the horse we thought he was when I adopted him. When he first walked off the trailer, he is the sweetheart, easygoing, just cool guy who kind of wants to be your friend, maybe. And is starting to like his job and understand the new job.
Yeah. And here's another toughie. What did you learn about yourself?
What I learned about myself is that I can do this. I actually I was thinking about it when we started our drive back on Sunday, because it was exactly 2 weeks from the day that we had left. And I remember driving up there. Of course, it's it turned out to be about 20 hours driving time in total. So a lot of times just sit there and think. And I was thinking I may not even show. I might not compete with him. Like, I don't want to exacerbate his nerves with my nerves, because I always had really bad nerves, show nerves growing up as a child, and still continue to deal with that. And so my plan going into it was I might not even show. And I don't know if we're ready for that.
You mean you can enjoy your horse without going to a horse show and getting a ribbon? That's what you're saying, right?
Yes. But then, so that was the first thing. But then the second thing, and like putting his well-being first, whatever was best for him.
Right.
But then the second thing was that we are a team, and that we can do this together. And that win in the equitation definitely solidified that.
Yes. I mean, and that's your first. I mean, you're not even a year together, so it's going to blossom from here, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So your next steps, you're going to let him have the rest of the summer off. It sounds like. I mean, not let the summer off, but maybe not go to horse shows until September.
Not horse show exactly. Yeah. But just kind of keep him fit, keep him keep working on our flat work, because our flat work is what. I mean, we've kind of always known our jumps are amazing, which, I've only been jumping for about 5 years. I picked it up in my 20s, And our jumps are great, and they feel, I feel so comfortable and natural, like seeing my distances on him, but it's the flat work, and we've kind of always known that. So it's awesome that it's making me go back and reevaluate and really put that work into the flat work. So we'll keep working on our flat work, and then we'll do a few local shows, hopefully later in the fall. And then the plan is to go to World Equestrian Center in January.
And where's that? The World Equestrian Center.
That
so
is
for
the
people who
one
don't
that they
know,
opened up. Yeah, so that's the one that they opened up in Ocala this year.
that's going to be so great. We went down to Florida a couple of years ago when they were building that, and it's huge. Yeah.
Yes, our barn. They took a few horses this year. Charles and I were just getting started, and it was, of course, even a little different this past January because of COVID. But it was the first year that they had it opened up, and everybody just said, I've heard so many people, at least 10 people describe it as like Disneyland for horse people.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So we're going to, thank you so much, Caitlin. We're going to let you go. We're going to carry on with Sarah here, and we are going to see you again soon. Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much.
Good luck with your
Bye. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you so much for sticking around, Sarah. That's really great. Now, before we go on to the grab bags of questions, I'd like to know why you like working with off the track thoroughbreds. I mean, you have a really good history of it. Like, why do you want to work with the off the track thoroughbreds so much?
There's a lot to it. I mean, for one, I've always loved the underdog story, and to me, the industry doesn't really embrace off the track thoroughbreds a lot, and they all just have this underdog story, and so I love that. And then I also, they work with my budget. I've always been low budgeted, and you can usually get a nice, lovely horse that's already started. I don't want to be the first person to start a horse, but an off the track thoroughbred is very well trained already.
Yeah.
So it's started. And they're just great horses, and
they're athletes, right? I love working with them because they're athletic and they really try. And like you say, they've started. They know what the saddle most of the time. Of course, Caitlin's horse, she said that she was just kind of starting out there, but yeah, they already know what a saddle and bridle is. You can get on them and start working.
Yeah, and they're bred to have heart, right? Like
bred to have heart. Exactly.
Breeding. And so I have loved every off the track thoroughbred I've had has been vastly different, just like every person is different. But I have loved every single one that I've had. They're just incredible. And I loved all the ones I rode at the track. They're such great horses.
Right. Okay. So now let's move on to the
grab bag.
Grab bag. Are you ready? You strapped in? Okay, let's do this. What's your favorite grooming product right now?
Okay, so if we're talking product, I'm sticking old school. Same thing I used when I was 12 years old. Shoshin. It is incredible. You can brush a tail with it once it's been washed. You can spray it, like to go to a winter horse show, spritz your horse. All the dust disappears.
Just don't put it where the saddle goes, right?
And don't put it on the mane if you grab mane.
Shoshin. Awesome. Okay. Training trick. Do you have any training trick that you recently learned?
I'm old school. I don't have a lot of tricks, but one tip that I learned, I have dealt with back issues with Silas that I've had for 10 years. And for a long time, I felt like if his back hurt, I needed to let him go how he felt most comfortable. And so I would let him walk, trot, canter kind of strung out. And in the last year, I have learned that it's actually better for his back to do what he doesn't want to do, which is to collect him. And it's kind of like doing ab exercises as a human, when you have back issues, it really helps build your core, and then your back is stronger. And so that's a training thing. If you have a horse with back issues, walk them for 15 minutes before you get really going, but then also ride them collected, give them more breaks, but ride them collected.
So do you ride them in collected weight so they round their back up and engage their core? Do you do that raising their back up by scrunching under their belly?
Yes, before
You
I
know
get
what
on.
I'm talking about?
Yeah, you like their little underline, whatever the line is called under their belly.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you like scratch it, and then I also will do the thing where you rub your fingers down next to his tail, and
Right.
he'll take his little butt under.
Yeah.
I do all kinds of stuff like that, and I'm about to
Like
just
that.
get. I've been seeing these bands everywhere that people are using. That it looks like a workout band. It's like stretchy, rubbery, and you strap it around their butt, and it just helps them like collect themselves. So I'm considering trying that, but again, I am very slow to change, and I don't like. I ride in a 3-piece snaffle. Like I don't do gimmicky stuff, even though, even if it's been around for 100 years, it may not be gimmicky anymore. But I'm pretty basic. So
exactly.
But I'm considering trying that. We'll see.
Excellent. Do you do anything superstitious at events?
No.
Or horse shows?
I'm not superstitious. I noticed that I've been wearing the same shirt to horse shows for 10 years. And my husband was like, "It's your lucky shirt." And I was like, it's the shirt that I bought for shows that I just happened to pull out. But also I visualize before I go in the ring. If I have time, I try to sit by the end gate. My horse is chill. So we just sit by the end gate once he's warmed up. And I just try to visualize everything, like the turn, the approach, where I'm pretty sure my horse is going to need extra leg, what it's going to feel like when he dies underneath me, or what it's going to feel like when he's dragging me around the ring. I just try to visualize it so that I can be prepared and ride it appropriately.
So important to do that. I mean, I think a lot of people they forget about that part, that your horse can feel what you are like, what is happening to your body. So it's important that you do visualize, so that you want your body to feel a certain way when you're going around that corner.
Right.
So if you feel that, then the horse will shape itself to make you feel that, right? It's like, right. Okay, so here's the final one, and this is one of my favorite ones. If you could take your horse for coffee, what would you ask or tell your horse? Which horse would it be, first of all?
Oh, I would have to take Silas. If we talk about Gideon's in heaven now. I will cry if we talk about that. So I can't talk about taking Gideon to coffee. But taking Silas to coffee, I think I would want to know, like, what's your favorite thing to do? And for years, because we've dealt with the back issues, I'm like a worrywart mother, and I'm always worried about what's bothering him, or when is he copping out of work, and when is he?
Is this the right horse here?
Oh, that's Mr. T.
Ah.
That is still Mr. T. That's him. That's Silas.
Okay.
And so I want to know, like, what's your favorite thing to do? Well,
it looks like it's jumping.
It has been jumping, but with his back issues, we've had to retire from jumping just this year. So, but it's been hard, because that does feel like his favorite thing to do for sure. He's excellent at it. But when we jump too much, his back hurts.
Yeah.
So
I think this is the video of him
that
it won't work. No, it's gone. Yeah. So
he's an excellent jumper, as you can see.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome. Oh, I think the video just came back up, and I'm going to show that. If I can. Here it is. I'm hoping it's the right horse.
It probably is. Yes, this is Silas. This was last summer. This was our last jumping show.
So this is the horse you'd like to take for coffee.
Right. I've had him for 10 years. He greeted my babies. They came out in car seats when they were a week old, and he stuck his nose in, and they grabbed his nose. And he bucks. He's 16, I think, this year. He bucks on trails. He spooks at logs. He keeps me feeling like a horseman, even though I ride. Until recently, I've ridden the same horse for 10 years. He continues to challenge me.
Excellent.
And we're buds.
Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now we do have this too. What does this say? This is
that's the winners.
The winners fiction 9/11, Faith Son from Fairfax, fiction 12 to 17, Grace, nonfiction, Madeline, And
then the banner is over the bottom one.
yeah, banner's over the bottom one. Just let me get rid of that banner. There we go. Thank you very much for that. Nonfiction 12 to 17. Hannah, thank you so much for all those. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, y'all. Super exciting.
Yes, congratulations to everybody. Okay. Now, don't forget to follow StreamHorseTV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and subscribe for free at StreamHorseTV for more on what we have going on in our community of horse enthusiasts. We have a comment here from Randy. Thank you so much, Randy. Randy's suggestion for Sarah, go more into dressage and jump for fun. Yeah,
Randy,
great.
what you didn't see is that we just did a dressage show.
Yeah.
And we didn't do that great, but it was a good first outing, and I didn't forget my test. And I think we're gonna fox hunt in the fall is what
that would be fun.
I'm looking towards, because I've got to do some adventures and I love my horse. So we're just gonna shift gears.
Yes, and I'd like to end the program here this evening for thanking producers Natalie Mayrath and Tom Pierce for putting the show together. And next week we'll be taking a break, but join in later on the following week when we will finish up and round up our segment with Caitlin and Charles. So don't forget to follow StreamHorseTV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and subscribe for free at StreamHorseTV for more on what we have going on in our community of horse enthusiasts. Thank you so much, and we'll see you. Bye.